Hello everyone, thank you for watching this video and following along with the iterator design pattern. My name is Amar Hadid, CIS 476. Um, we first will talk about the intent of the iterator. Basically, the primary purpose of it is to provide a way to access the elements of an aggregate object sequentially without exposing the underlying representation to the user. So basically, what we're talking about is we can traverse the data and streamline the program as like using, for example, if we're going through a list or an array, we can use the iterator to traverse through the data without exposing the system setup. The array setup or the list setup, basically, and the structure of it. Um, the motivation of it basically is that it allows us to um, basically does not, as mentioned earlier, does not expose the internal structures of the collection. It also supports multiple traversals at one point at any time. You can do forward, backwards, or both directions. It also helps basically provide a uniform interface for traversing different collection. By that is we can actually take different arrays or lists or anything of that sort and use the same iterator to do the to go through those different lists or arrays without having to rewrite the code multiple times. This is the structure of the iterator. As you can see, the iterator here, and then it's used by a concrete iterator and a concrete aggregate. They go back and forth between each other, communicating. Um, and the aggregate is where you would create the iterator um, call. The iterator itself will have different information in it to track the current item, the next item, um, as well as others like last or if it's done. It also does maintain the iteration state as well. Um, the basic reason for using the iterator that to basically simplify the interface and to be able to do different variations of a traversal of the same collection, or as mentioned earlier, we can actually use different collections of items and actually do use the same iterator to do the traversal of those data as well. Um, and the known uses for the iterator is usually in object-oriented systems such as Java and C++. Um, in C++, it's used in a lot of the standard libraries and Java utility iterator interfaces for Java. Um, we are not, I personally am not familiar with a lot of the other ones, but I heard that you can use them in Pooch components as well as Smalltalk, Object Window 2.0, as well as others. Um, Before we go to the code snippets, there's also some other stuff that I would like to mention. That some of the reasons that some of the trade-offs of having the iterator is that you could actually use a lot of memory, because sometimes if the memory is not cleared or not deleted by the client, if you're using specifically like the polymorphic iterator, it must be deleted by the client, and if it's not deleted or cleared, it will actually cost a lot of memory usage. Um, One of the other things that you have trade-off is when you're using iterators, if they're not set up correctly, you may have some corrupted data or results. Um, given that the implementation of the iterator is not 100% correct, um, we will look at the code here. Basically, what I did is I created an array, string letters as well as numbers, and as I mentioned earlier, we could use different lists, arrays, and actually do an iteration using either one of either lists. So basically, we're doing the same code and using it for multiple lists or arrays, which saves in a lot of programming and repetition of the same program code over and over again in the system. So what I did here is I created a list of iterators, list of letters, as well as a list of numbers, and then I used an iterator to actually print out the letters and then also print out the numbers, and then exited the program with that. That's it for this lecture, for this presentation. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you listening in. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments below.